We are going to talk about a concept called as scope of variables. So far I was using the word life, but the correct technical term for that is scope of the variable. What do you actually mean by the scope of a variable? By the word scope you mean the part or portion of the program where the value of the variable or where the value of the variable can be used or accessed. It generally begins from where the variable is declared up to the end of the flower bracket. So in functions, the scope, if I in a function, if I declare a variable, the scope extends to the innermost block that contains the declaration. This thing will be clear once we take a look at the example and what is the meaning of this word innermost block. So what we can do is let us slowly try to look through a program. This is a program which actually does nothing meaningful. It is just used to illustrate the concept of scope of a variable. So in this program, what I have done is I have a function f and a function g. The reason both are mentioned as void is because both are not returning back any values. So you will see here there is no return statement in f as well as in g. In f, I am printing the value of x. Same in g, I am printing the value of x. We'll come to that a little later, but just take a look at what those functions are. Then I have declared an integer variable x with the value 10, and this x, since it is declared outside each function, it is known as a global variable, which we discussed before. X is a local variable, this x is a local variable, this x is a global variable. All the x's declared are different memory locations in this particular program. This x, let's say it's in memory location 100, this could be in 200, this could be in 300, this fellow could be in memory location 400. Since they are different memory locations, one thing should be clear, they are different variables although they have the same name. I have given them the same name so that you clearly understand the concept. So what I am doing here is in this flower bracket, and this flower bracket is the end of main. This is known as the function block. Now I can just have a block like this. This is also an example of a block. It begins here, it ends here. So first I have declared int x as 10, int x as 20 here. Then within this flower bracket, I have declared int x as 30. Now what happens is, if you try to print the value of x here outside the flower bracket, it will print 20 because it is referring to this x. But within this flower bracket, this x overrides this x. That means this x has a scope ahead of this x. So when I print the value of x here, it is going to print 30 in this particular thing. So first it is going to print 30. Now in main, when I print the value of x, this x scope has ended because it began at the flower bracket, ended at a flower bracket. Now which is the nearest x? It is this particular fellow. So in main, when I print the value of x, it's going to print 20. Now I'm using a scope resolution operator. Okay. So in the scope resolution operator, what I am doing is when I'm printing this double colon x, it's going to print this 10 because I'm referring to the global variable x. All right. So this symbol colon colon x is referred to as the scope resolution operator. Here it is going to print the value of the global variable x because I'm clearly indicating I do not want to print the x which is in local to main. I want to print the x which is a global variable, so it will print 10. I hope you are clear. This block, this x 30 is printed. In main x, it is going to print 20 because 20 is local to main. But I am using the scope resolution operator to refer to this global x using colon colon x. It is going to print 10. Then I am invoking the function f. In function f, there are no local variables declared. So the only x available for it is this global variable 10. So 10 is going to be printed here. Then when G is called, in G I have declared a local variable X is 40. So when I print the value of X in G, it's going to override this global X. It is going to refer to this X which is local to G. So it's going to print 40. So take a look at this example more than once to understand scope of a variable. You have to understand this. Scope of the variable begins from where it is declared. Okay. The scope extends to the end of the innermost block. What is the innermost block for this X? This is the innermost block. What is the innermost X for this? What is the innermost block for this X? It is this fellow. What is the innermost block for this X? It is this fellow. What is the innermost X for this block? There is no X, so it will go to the global value and print. So please take a look at this concept. It is simple but requires a couple of revisions to really get a hang of it.